Hi guys, I'm Jase, and for my DFM project, I decided to do an airless football. So let's get into how I made this. I first started by 3D printing a half mold of a football for vacuum forming. I then grabbed the shop vac and vacuum forming box from the SBD club and heated a sheet of ABS to around 350 degrees Fahrenheit for around 5 minutes and placed it on the mold and vacuum formed it. One concern for me was that the mold was gonna melt because it was made out of PLA, but it ended up being alright. After vacuum forming two halves of the ball, I then tried to hand saw it, but quickly realized that it was going to take too long, so I decided to go to the shop to saw off the excess ABS, and then I sanded it down from there. After sanding down the two halves, I then Gorilla Glued both sides of the ball, and I tried to use clamps, but the clamps weren't big enough, so I just had to hold it together for around 5 minutes. After gluing both halves together, I then decided to use polyurethane rubber of Shore Hardness 48 and mix the two together, and then I lathered the ball in the rubber so that it has a grip to it so it's easier to catch. After lathering the ball in polyurethane rubber, I then learned how to use a sewing machine finally, after 22 years. So I zigzag stitched wax cord for the laces, and I used 3 layers of wax cord and zigzag stitched that together, and I made 2 parts of that to make the long part of the laces running across the ball, and for the laces running normal to that part, I used 2 layers, and I used the zigzag stitch as well. I then had to Gorilla Glue the laces to the ball, and I was planning on stitching the laces to the ball, but then I would have to create holes into the 8 sheets of ABS, which might have been harder or would have cracked it, and I didn't want to crack the sheets because I only had a few left. And with that being said, that's how I made the airless football. And I was going to play test it with some of my friends, but they ended up leaving early because they didn't have that many finals because they're not engineering majors. But yeah, with that being said, here's a video of me throwing the ball around in my room.